We've got she oak, pink gum, we've got some daisy bush here.
This is Aldinga Scrub. It's one of the only patches of land in South Australia that was mostly untouched by European settlers. With the help of this dedicated team, it's being protected and restored to its natural state.
So Steve, a lot of what we're looking at here is native vegetation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few little weeds creeping in, but for the most part, this is all local native species.
And what happens to areas when we restore them and protect them?
Well, when we do that, we promote and encourage local native fauna, birds, small mammals, reptiles, invertebrates, everything. Everything thrives in native vegetation.
And it makes sense because that's where they're meant to be, right?
Absolutely, this is their home.
That's right, our animals and our plants are a package deal. And this team is hoping this native landscape is housing some small native mammals, but they need the photos to prove it.
It might look like just a little box, but it's quite an expensive camera. It's infrared and it's got a motion sensor in there.
That's so cool.
So that anything that comes along and wants to have a little nibble at this little treat of peanut paste will be captured. And we know from experience that all these little critters, like bandicoots and antechinus and native bush rats and things like that, they reckon peanut butter's pretty good.
Well, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed,
Yeah,
yes.
hopefully they are here.
Plants, on the other hand, being stationary, are much easier to find. In fact, 24,000 native species have been identified. But Aldinga Scrub has some of the rarer plants.
So just behind us here, this is a pretty rare plant, is that correct?
Yes, the lacy coral lichen is very rare, especially in South Australia. And there's also the Dampiera, and the subspecies we have here is found nowhere else in the world.
And why is this area fenced off? Is that to protect
That's right,
the
it's to protect the lichen. In summer it's very dry and crumbly, vulnerable to damage, and not being poisonous, the kangaroos would probably eat it as well.
Right.
It's lucky this wonderful and unique site is a conservation park. But keeping it protected does involve some hard work from these volunteers.
So you're doing a little bit of planting here today. What else do you guys have to do to maintain this beautiful site?
Well, we do general weed control and patrol looking for weeds, especially on the edges where there's suburbia. You get a lot of weeds spread in from suburbia. And we also monitor any of the rare plants and check on the condition of the bush. So we measure leaf litter and shrub health and tree health.
Basically making sure everything is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
And extra hands are always welcome. So if you want to help, look for volunteering opportunities with your school or community groups near you. And always remember, when visiting a conservation park, take only pictures, leave only footprints.